So, what's happening, YouTube world, RC community? Uh, Doing a little something different here. I had videos of both of these trucks on my channel a while back. First off, I got asked to do a viewer watched the video on this where I had it over on my fabrication table going over it. I think I still have a video up with some run footage from this where I took it out, got it running, and was adjusting the 2-speed because I was gonna put this up for sale, and then I didn't. I ended up not. I decided against putting it up for sale and keeping it. So anyhow, he did watch the one video with this Tmaxx on the channel. So I used to do Nitro a lot. Like a lot. I used to be a big Nitro head. Still like Nitro. I know a lot of people, it was a really hard part of the hobby for them. And, they just didn't like to tinker and tune and stuff like that with them because you do got to mess with them. I've kept a hold of, over the years, the Tmaxx was kind of my truck. So I had like 4 or 5 different big blocks. I had like the Mach, I had the XTM, I had the RC Solutions, which was the CyberMax big block with the skeletonized chassis roll cage kit. I built this one, which is based off of UE type Supermax chassis, but it's made by RD Logics. But it's a copy of the Supermax chassis from UE. This is an FLM. This is not a true big block. So I just kind of wanted to go into a little bit of the different variations of stuff that I've done over the years. And as the electric stuff improved, a lot of the parts from like the electric truck, the Emax, would transfer over into these when it come to the driveline, like your differentials was the main thing. And when you started putting bigger power with these Tmaxes, the differentials wouldn't hold up under the power of the bigger engines in these trucks. So these trucks both have, I can't remember, it might be the 3906 model number Emax. It's been a long time. These trucks are very old. They were built a long time ago. And I know they look similar, but there's huge differences in the Tmaxx world. There's so many different models, guys. This one's based off the original, I think 4910 is what the original, the short Tmaxx with the wide A arms was the 4910. Before that, they made the short Tmaxx with the short arms, and it had like a .15 Traxxas engine on it. So that's what this started off, I think, was what they called the Pro 15. And then I had built it up to a 2.5. And then that 2.5 gave away later when Traxxas came out with the 3.3. And then at one point in time, this had a Pico Max .21 on it, which was actually probably one of the best performing engines in my opinion. I had a couple of, I don't know how you pronounce it. They're an Italian company. Ciro. They made, and then I had an RB. They were both like .23s. They were very oddity engines, and they were all designed to bolt. They had a custom motor mount, the same motor mount that this one uses. Right here you can see similar motor mounts like that bolted to the smaller chassis, but you could run. It really wasn't necessarily a big block engine. They were more like a medium block. Same way with like the Traxxas 3.3. It's not really a big block. It's not really a small block. It's like an in-between. Really, when you take them apart and you look at them and look at the pistons and stuff in them. Make sure we're still recording here. So this is on the left is a true big block conversion. This is a .28. It says .28. So it's a big block engine that uses the footprint motor mount, engine mount, because I don't like to call them motors. These are engines, these are combustion, these are engines, motors are electric. This is, excuse me, this is closer to an actual big block bolted to like a very small chassis. So it's like taking a Chevy Chevette and putting a small block 350 in it. Like, essentially. That's what you'd be looking at here if you're talking one-to-one world. Because you still got the short chassis. It's going to be a little lightweight because there's less material. This thing was, it was pretty much undrivable with this engine in it. It just kind of tossed it around. It was just wheelie central, which is the reason why I put this together and kept the short chassis. It even would snap the wheelie bars off the back of it. I had the plastic Traxxas wheelie bar at the time off the Tmaxxes because they had to have the brushless power was so much. And I kept breaking the. I had to take the plastic wheelie bar off this when I was doing jumps and whatnot with it, and because it would snap them anyways. But after a while, just doing the wheelies on the up and down on the road or in the yard, it would wear that plastic to where it would just break it off the back. And that's where I ran into. I used to race for one of the hobby shops, and that's where I ran into. They had a monster truck class, and they had a small sponsorship with Traxxas, and we all got Revos. So along came a company called Techno RC. So Techno RC realized that we were racing the Tmaxxes and the Revos, so they came out with a wing mount where you could put a wing. And believe it or not, they do make a difference when you're jumping these things in the air. They do kind of help a little bit keeping them more level. They do have a reason for being there. It's just not a Honda Civic with a wing bolted to the trunk lid. These things are adjustable. Now, they made the one for the Revo, as far as I know, first. My Revo is long gone. I had the original 2.5 Revo that I had gotten under my sponsorship. And I had that thing forever and ever, and it was the same way. It went through so many different engines. I had one of the .19 Go engines on it. I had the Mach 19. A family member, my nephew, ended up with that. I don't know if he still has it or not, but it's still even the original short chassis 2.5 Revo. I also had a couple of the 3.3 Revos, but the 3.3 Revos were an extended chassis. And then you had RC Advantage. I think they made the carbon fiber chassis for those. There was a bunch of other stuff back in the day. Everybody jumped on the bandwagon when it was super popular and made a bunch of stuff. One of the main big companies, like we'll get into that in just a minute with it, and then I'll break this down and go over for the guy that asked here on the channel for me to do the video. So we'll get into this meat and taters here real quick, and I'll explain to you guys. So Techno RC did the wing mount. I don't know if these are available anymore. I highly doubt they are because they're old as crap. I think I had an extra one of these I had bought, and it's in a bag somewhere. All my Nitro stuff got put into storage out in the building. Because I have some other collectible Nitro stuff that's vintage. I was debating when to sell everything, but I don't know if I can. I just don't know if I can bring myself into selling this stuff because there's a lot of work that went into these, and research and friends from the years that helped me build them. So this is clear back from the time of when everybody was on online forums and everybody was a lot more cordial with one another back in the day. You didn't have the Facebook drama crap where everybody was complaining and hating and whining. So I was part of a group called RC Nitro Talk. I think maybe RC Talk might be the old RC Nitro Talk online now on the forums. I'm not sure, but there was a guy and his name was Snookman. And his thing was the Tmaxx platform as well. And he built dragsters and truggy conversions, and he raced them the same as I did. And he helped me in with the process of building all these trucks. And he was a real cool guy, a great guy to talk to. I don't know if he's still around anymore or not. I don't frequent the forums. I don't even know if the forum's a real thing. But I think RC Nitro Talk ended up going to RC Talk in general. There was a guy on there, he went by Rolex, and then there was Snookman. And those two guys were really cool, and they were really knowledgeable, and I just wanted to, I'll share my appreciation for those two, for the years that they helped me, and then some others, and then that's what I like the forums for. It wasn't quite as bad as a lot of the Facebook groups, drama that you have to go through. So, on to the parts. I seriously doubt you're going to be able to find these parts, man, online. I highly doubt it. Anyhow, the wing mount is a Techno RC wing mount, and these bumpers were super rare even for the time. These are a barn burner bumper, super indestructible bumpers on this thing. So it's got a barn burner bumper front and rear. It has the brushless Tmaxx converted diffs in it. It's got the RPM braces here for your bulkheads. I'm sorry, it's been a while for the terms here. It's got the RPM. If you reinforce the bulkheads on these pretty well, you could stay away from having, generally on these trucks, aluminum up the middle and plastic on the ends for your breaking point when it comes to the Tmaxx trucks, and the Emaxes were pretty much the same. So I went ahead and tried to go with a little lightweight because I was trying to keep the weight down on this thing the most I could. But I've got the RPM bulkhead braces here. We got, I believe, the shock towers I needed for the, and we'll go to the shocks next because you asked me. So these shock towers are, I believe these were maybe a company called RC Raven. And he started out making plastic, but then he came up with some CNC aluminum stuff. Like I said, I'm sure this stuff's not around anymore, but you have to have the multi-adjustability shock towers in order to run these shocks. And what these shocks are, these are OFNA. These are the OFNA Truggy shocks. So the 1/8 scale shocks, and I went with 1/8 scale shocks because I didn't care for the 8 shock setup on the Emax and the Tmaxx. These allowed for, this thing would take a huge landing. There was more spring options available for the OFNA shocks because everybody raced OFNA buggies and they raced OFNA truggies and stuff. So the shocks are OFNA 1/8 scale. I think you could probably get away with running any 8th scale buggy shock, to be truthful with you. I believe these are fronts all the way around. So I got the front because they were a little shorter. The rear ones are a little too long. So you'd probably want to look in trying to get yourself fronts to do all the way around if you can find you a nice adjustable shock tower for the Tmaxx. That way you still get your shock adjustment there with the truck. So often, if you, I don't know what they still make, guys, because I haven't dabbled down in the road in this stuff for a long time. I take this thing out and run it every once in a while just to keep it going and keep everything, cycled. And I keep a roll of fuel line here and change the stuff out and just go out and run them and enjoy them every once in a while when I get time. Like I said, it may be about time to send some of the stuff down the road. I don't know yet. But this does have the shocks and the shock towers on it. If you're going that route, you have to have the multi-adjustable shock towers. If you can find them, the best shock towers that you're going to find is either a UE, Supermax type stuff, or an FLM, which FLM is the company. Fast Lane Machine is what FLM stands for. And they're the ones that made the chassis for this. This is a 4910 regular wheelbase FLM chassis that's on this. Let me make sure we are still recording, people, because I don't know. Sometimes my phone shuts off. Okay, we're still good. Sorry, this is a long video, but he wanted it broke down, so I'm breaking it down for you. This is the OFNA buggy tank. I have a couple, 2 or 3 of these still new. Whenever I ran these trucks on the trucks that I raced, the Tmaxx tanks had horrible reliability, and they had a terrible unbound. When they started getting down low to a certain point on fuel, they just wouldn't pick up. They would lose vacuum. The engines would stall. They would run lean. They would half tank lean. You had to tune your engines. With these off in the buggy tanks, they ran the same from the top to the bottom. So you didn't have to worry about constantly tuning at a half a tank, and then when you refilled it, not retuning. So they stayed consecutive from the full tank to an empty tank. So, and then I just made my own mounts here on this chassis to mount the off in the buggy tanks out of aluminum, and then some steering pivot arms off of a Tmaxx. Emax was the same. These are the old crank steering inserts that go down inside your post for your Tmaxx or Emax. So it's got an off in the buggy tank on it, and then it's just got a filtration system built into it, because when you're out on the track running, you really needed a filter, especially on the clay tracks and stuff that we ran on that these trucks seen. So it's just powered by a stick pack here, nickel metal hydride. I need to take that off if I go to run this again, and probably repower that by a small 2S LiPo, because it'll be a lot lighter and a lot smaller. This does still hold charge, and this did work out fairly decently, surprisingly well here. And it's just powered directly into run on, because you're just running servos with these. Motor saver filter was always a must back in the day. That's what company this is. I don't know if they still make stuff, man. That is a motor saver filter. I'd highly recommend that for any of your guys' engines if you can get them still. They work fantastic. Like I said, I raced these trucks on a lot of the clay dirt track stuff. They kept the stuff from getting in the engines for me, and they used to have a pre-filter that went over the outside that helped as well. You know, not that a regular standard Tmaxx filter won't get you by for going out and doing bashing, because it will, but these were nice if you were running in some pretty bad conditions. I think the transmission in this one, I can't remember. It's not the standard 4910 Tmaxx transmission. It was the next step up that they had put in here with the gray transmissions in them. I can't remember, honestly, what they were. I can't remember the model number, but these are very hard to get. And then this one has Robinson Racing hardened steel gears inside of it. So I always went with the Robinson Racing steel geared transmissions in this, and this is still a 2-speed. So it was hard getting a pipe to fit this. So I ended up taking the Traxxas R-tuned pipe, resonator pipe, and I took a drill bit and drilled the stinger out here to open the hole up clear to the inside of this pipe to get it to flow a little better, because that was another big problem. These big blocks, the small block pipes wouldn't flow enough, and you didn't have enough clearance to run a proper size header exit and pipe that would match these engines for their flow. So drilling them out here at your exit, and then I think I ended up going on the inside of the header pipe here in the back and opening the chamber up in the back of it as well, is what I ended up doing with this one. And that kept it flowing a little better, and this one ran pretty well. It does have 70-75 aluminum, believe it or not, energy clutch shoes back in the day. This has the 3-style shoe clutch, which is what like the HPI Savage big blocks ran, because the 2 half-style shoes the springs wouldn't hold the power that these would put out, and they just blow apart. So I swapped up. I always upgraded to the aluminum clutches in these, and they always worked well for me. Now onto the engine. Like I said, this is a OFNA .28 Max engine. I don't know what's available, what's not available. I have no idea, man. This was a JL OFNA .28 Max. They're the ones that made this engine for the conversion for these trucks. Like I said, you might still be able to, I think you can buy the Mach 19. That's like a medium block engine. It'd be like the conversion for this, I think. I don't know what's available and what's not available out there now. Like I said, this is the FLM chassis. There's a look underneath of it. Just the stock newer style Tmaxx skid plates on this one. You always needed a servo cover on these, steering servo cover on these trucks, because if not, you'd be jumping these things or running them off-road. Come up here and hit your servo, and it would bust your servo on these. RPM arms, and then I've got Revo knuckles. These are Revo knuckles out here on the outside of these, because the old style Tmaxx knuckles were junk and they just broke all the time. So I went with the Revo style knuckle out here, which is an upgrade. They're heavier duty and they got bigger bearings in them. So that's the rundown on this truck that you asked. So that's it, guys. And like I said, this is your, there's Dungeon Master. This is your little, just the short 4910. I'm going to slop up the big block here, and then we're going to take a break here. I'm going to put the big block up here, and I'm going to show you guys the big block, because I'd say it'll probably get too long. This is a true big block Tmaxx right here. This is, back in the day, like, your best stuff that they made for the Tmaxx trucks really was UE, which UE was the Supermax company. Unlimited engineering is what UE stood for. Their chassis were absolutely crazily, ridiculously priced chassis. So companies started copying the UE design, which you had FLM, and then you had RD Logics, Energy. They were copying some of them. Their stuff didn't sell very well because a lot of their aluminum wasn't too fantastic back in the day. I don't know if their stuff's improved now or not. But this is the RD Logics. It's basically a copy of the Unlimited Engineering chassis. So that's basically what I built this off of, because I was able to get my hands on the RD Logics chassis easier. And there's not really a huge difference between the RD Logics chassis. And here's a look underneath of it here. That's a look underneath of it. I got a carbon fiber skid brace with an aluminum flame skid brace over it. We have the layout here. I pretty much went crazy with RPM stuff. But what I was saying was, this is a carbon fiber center brace, and I didn't want to beat it all to pieces because it was hard to come by. It's real carbon fiber G10. So I put this aluminum one with the flames etched in it over it, and I thought it was fitting. And this would actually keep the chassis rails from getting beat too hard slapping on jumps. Like I said, I went crazy with the RPM stuff. RPM bulkheads, RPM arms, and RPM Revo style upgraded knuckles. With this thing, it's this was a pretty good setup. I never got to race this thing. It does have barn burner skids, and these skid plates are an integrated skid plate. So when I say integrated, I mean they are an integrated skid, barn burner skids that bolt directly into your bumper. So it makes like a big solid piece here for your bulkheads. So I did that to go away from going into aluminum heavy. And back then, guys, the aluminum stuff wasn't exactly fantastic stuff here for these trucks. It was softer grade aluminum. It wasn't really like 70-75. They made 70-75 stuff, but you're paying out the nose for it. And really, it was the UE stuff, and then his stuff was like, designed to work with like his certain diffs and blah blah blah. And I'm not going down that road right now. That's a whole different ball game. So I just incorporated the barn burner mounts in just to make one solid, structured, more like a buggy brace would have, or a truggy on it. When I built this, like, I boxed it all in to give it strength. And then the RPM bulkheads were made pretty well on these as well. And then went with the FLM fully adjustable mounted shock tower setup. And then these were designed to work with your squared off body mount standoffs right here for your body mounts for your truck. Revo and the newer style Tmaxx swapped up to these newer style squared body mounts. So just back into it, RPM box here. Let's see, made. That's pretty much the rundown. Once again, OFNA. I went with the OFNA shocks again on this. So to run these, you have to have those multi-port adjustable shock towers. I called them modular shock towers back in the day. I don't know what they really were. I went with the hot racing turnbuckles because I ran these before and it was a hot racing item that you didn't have to worry about, that held up without tearing them up too bad, and they were lightweight. The rears with the RPM knuckles, you didn't have to worry about the turnbuckles, but the bad part was these weren't adjustable, so you couldn't adjust anything on them. They were just set from the factory. But they used the capture hinge pin style setup like your race truggies and buggies used. So that was another reason why I wanted to go with these. Same thing, they got the heaviest duty brushless Emax diffs on this one. Like I said, this is a true big block conversion, so it's got XTM big block chassis mounts on it. I ended up using those. The pipe, I don't know if this guy makes exhaust pipes anymore. This was back in the day, this was the best pipe you could get. And it's made by Extreme Custom Mods. ECRM. Extreme RC Mods is what his company was. I don't know if he's still online or not. It's loud as crap, but man, it was the best pipe that you could get. He won a lot of championships with like the buggy and truggy world with these pipes. And then he made these for the big block converted Tmaxxes, and then the big block Savages he made them for as well, the HPI Savage. And I just adapted this pipe to work on this platform. It wasn't designed for it, but I made it work. They're stupid loud, but they run so well. This is a very, very, very hard to get transmission in this one, also with Robinson Racing steel gears. Hence the RR sticker that is on it. And then I custom made a spring-loaded brake mount setup on this one. That way I had no drag in the driveline, because these Tmaxxes had kind of a crappy, a little bit of a crappy design in their brake setups on these trucks. So I redesigned it and then cut springs and ran up on it and come up with my own screws to where I had push out on my brake disc so it wasn't rubbing, so I didn't have any brake contact till you needed it. I kind of came up with that one. Like I said, because this was going to be my primary race truck. And you can see the drive line is just free flowing on this thing. There's no drag on it at all when it comes to that. It free spins. So, same way, same clutch setup. This is I think I ended up going with a Revo gearing on this one to get the gearing up high enough, because this engine put out so much power. And surprisingly, guys like today, they would shit on the LRP engines. But in actuality, the LRPs, yes, they were more of a basher type guy engine than they were like a race buggy or truggy engine. But they still performed really well for what they were. This is their Spec 2, and this one was sent off to custom mods to have it ported and everything. So this is their race port engine, and it is a .30 big block engine that is on this one. I don't know if LRP is still making engines or not. I think Nitro is just something that's kind of, I don't know. I hear Traxxas is making the Tmaxx and stuff again, maybe. I haven't delved down that route very far. Everybody wants electric. I found these more rewarding for myself. To me, this was more of a hobby versus charging some batteries and going out and just bashing your brains out. Nothing wrong with that. I just like the aspect, if you're like a mechanical type guy, and you like tinkering and you like tuning and you like seeing what you can squeeze out of the engine, and you don't mind, getting your hands dirty. I think Nitro was a little more maybe for you. I didn't mind Nitro. I didn't have the problems with my Nitro stuff like a lot of guys had problems with their Nitro stuff. But I would go out and spend forever running a tank of fuel, or maybe two out, just to tune an engine, to try to get the most out of it that I could. A lot of people aren't that way, so this chassis is a modular chassis setup, so you can run your throttle here. You could run your throttle standard setup for like a regular Tmaxx. You know, I just ran mine off to like you would have a truggy setup or a buggy setup over here, with throttle stuff set up so you have a direct linear pull on the for your throttle and brake. Once again, an off in the buggy tank, custom mounted down to the RD Logic chassis. These are the Traxxas brand 3.3 Tmaxx axle shafts in this one. So if you know you're building any of these, I would highly recommend these. These hold up very well. I would do away with the plastic axles in them because even the 3.3 shreds those. These hold up extremely well. This truck is built with a full unlimited engineering, i.e. Supermax stuff, drive diff cups all the way around on it, which I'm pretty much sure is impossible to find, but they last forever. The drive shafts are UE, which is unlimited engineering drive shafts. It does have a hot racing adjustable preload steering setup here in the front end of the truck, where I could adjust how much pressure on the servo I wanted, just because I needed as much steering with the dependability of not stripping the steering as I could on this truck, because it was going to be my primary 8-scale race truck in the monster truck class before they closed it down. I never only got to run it a couple times on the track before they shut everything down, so it performed actually pretty well. Once again, a Techno RC wing mount on the back of this thing. And they were designed, the Techno RC wing mount was designed to incorporated work with the FLM shock tower. They worked, I think, together in a collaboration, so that's why I went with all this, because it sandwiched together exactly how it was supposed to. I think that's all really break down on this thing with you guys. I need to get this stuff running and go out and do some videos with it, honestly. This one is not stuck. All my stuff was stored with I made my own after run oil out of just regular non-synthetic transmission fluid, mixed with a little 2-stroke oil, and I mean just a little bit, and then I would put it down in here, and that's basically what I used for after run oil. And I would just pull the pull starter, run the piston all the way down to what they call BDC, which is bottom dead center, and then store them, and it never gets stuck, and the transmission fluid sucks up all of your moisture, so you don't got to worry about moisture getting on any of the internals inside the engine and ruin them. Like I said, Nitro takes a little extra work, but it isn't that hard to unscrew a glow plug and put a couple drops down in here, and then put your roll it down and put your glow plug back in. It's like 5 seconds. So there you go, guys. That's the old school technology right there that's on these. I almost converted this one to electric, and then I thought, man, no, I'm not doing that. I'm not a huge fan of the big electric powered basher stuff. I had a Tmaxx, and it kind of bored me. I love the 5th scale gas stuff. I don't give a crap that the electric stuff really doesn't make a shit to me that it's faster. To me, the gas stuff's more fun, and it's more of a hobby grade type vehicle. And with the gas stuff, you don't got to tune them like you do the Nitro. You basically get a tune on your gas stuff and keep your oil and gas mixture the same. Unless you're changing altitude, you're not going to have to change your carburetor settings a lot. So, to me, the gas stuff was just more rewarding for me. So yeah, guys, that's it. That's the Nitro's long drawn out videos. I'm going to edit these, get them posted up. Hopefully that helps you out, man. If you got questions, I can answer them the best I can. Good luck finding the stuff. FLM, even some of the Indigy stuff, RD Logics, UE. You can type in Supermax on eBay. There may be some of that stuff still out there. Hell, I don't know. I haven't looked. They may still make them, man, but I doubt it. Hopefully this information helps you out and puts you on the right track to, on what you're doing. I don't have any of these spare parts laying around. I think the only thing I have is the Techno RC wing mount, and who knows where that would even be. I don't have any more of the shocks laying around. That stuff pretty much all got used or sold off to friends that were doing builds over the years. These are very old design builds and stuff from years and years and years and years and years ago. So anyhow, from the RC Dungeon, as always, Peace.